Hey YouTube, it's Petey Two Finger. This video I'm going to be talking about this year's album, which is called Petey Two Fingers Tender Moments. I uploaded that on Valentine's Day. I recorded it in January of this year. There's a single commercial for Tender Moments, and you walk away from that commercial with the impression that Petey Two Fingers Tender Moments is an album of love songs. It's not an album of love songs. It's noisy. It's instrumental, rockish instrumental. It's composed of noise samples and synthesizers. There's no electric guitar on Tender Moments, and there's no electric bass. The bass that you hear, there is drums on a lot of the tracks. Use the typical Addictive Drums 2 is the name of the software that I used. This is the keyboard that's recorded. It has this, that one goes that way, and then right and left for pitch bend, and then your modulation is in here. And I did use that up and down. I used that for the modulation. I used a lot of software synthesizers, and then some some pieces was like I would start out with some like sweet sounding piano, and then at one point it would switch into jackhammers, leaf blower, two-cycle motorcycle engine, dentist drill, power transformer, and human screaming. So you have the beginning and then the end. There's two halves. You have the piano intro, and right at the right moment we switch over to the noise elements, and then that gets pan spread out in stereo, and you time it all out with a nice reverb tail, and make sure that the end has a thing. The way that the sounds move through the fade is important. I've been inserting elements of sound and sound effects in my music is a huge part of what I do. Not just the bass, guitar, drum, and keys, but sound effects. And with intros and outros, I really strive to have that as an active element of the music as well, with movement and flow. And that's something that bands that I grew up listening to, like Pink Floyd and the Beatles even, but the use of noise sound effects has been something that I lean towards and that I really enjoy. Like, personally, if you cut that out, that's like the ketchup with the French fries. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to have a bunch of French fries unless you got some ketchup, and then you're going to be all good. You don't want to have a bunch of turkey unless you got some gravy. And that's my, like, what I really love about it, is the ability to use that. So whether or not that gets construed as cheesy, I don't really have chops. I'm not a technical or talented musician at all. So I think that's one of my strong points, is my ability to tastefully. I mean, if I'm just using Submarine Ping's the sound of a metal dumpster slamming and lightning strikes and air raid sirens. you know, now I really wasn't in a good place emotionally. I haven't been. It's not been good for Petey. I had a bad holiday. Um, I quit drinking last year, and I don't know. I guess I thought that people would be, that my situation would change, that people would like be nice to me because I'm not drinking, but no. So it's just been, that hasn't been a good time. I really didn't want to do it. I really, 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 really did not want to record this year. This is a really bad time for me. I get sick every year. I have a health thing that comes up that's painful. Um, Emotionally, there's a whole another can of worms with this time of year. And it seemed to me to be even more important to force myself and do something, anything was the motto for this year. So I waffled on it, and then one night it all came to me. The whole thing came to me. Last year I had a title and I planned it out, and I had a title, Hokum. I had that for the whole year. And then I planned it all out in advance. There was a dozen commercials that I made. This year it was one commercial, and then I dropped the album. The bass guitar, the drums is the same drums I always use. It's Addictive Drums 2. The bass guitar is, it's a soft synth bass plugin called Apex. I think it's called P-Bass. And I would run that usually through at least one or two cab sims, preamp and cab sim, to get the distortion. One of the things that I spent a lot of time on was the timbre, the sound of the bass, to get the bass to sound like a real bass through kind of a higher gain or a crunchy, like a modern high gain bass sound. And right away I realized if I just have double bass and popping on the bass guitar in that, and put sound effects over it, I can only have like 3 or 4 of those songs on the album. Otherwise it'll sound too repetitive. My initial thing was, I found this magical formula. You just have the double bass drums going, and you dot 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 dot, kind of like Pink Floyd "Run Like Hell." How that bass feels, but a little bit goosing the tempo higher, and then just have sound effects coming in and out, panning. So I had a handful of that, and then I had pieces that were sound effect collages, where I would start off with some nice music, and then right at the right point, bait and switch you with jackhammers, 2-cycle leaf blower, motocross, lawnmower, transformer, like electricity zaps, dentist drills, and human screaming. And utilizing the sound effects and the intros and outros, that's something that I pride myself in. Whether it comes off as tacky or not, I'm not a talented player with any kind of chops or anything, so I make do, and part of that is utilizing sound effects for the intros and outros. That's just the music that I grew up that always had a little bit of that in there, and I love it. I love it. Now, do we try to be subtle with it, or am I just going for air raid sirens, dumpster lid crash, auto alarm, automotive alarms, you know, thunderclaps. So it's about balance, because you can quickly go pass a line and just get into where it's tacky. But I stand behind what I've done, and I really don't think I've ever gone too far with it. Considering what I'm doing is instrumental music, there's room for that. Considering it's just me, or we're playing this stuff live, it's just two of us. So I had a lot of fun doing this. The fact that there wasn't any guitars on it, and that it was just there was no setup. It was just grab the keyboard and working with the mouse. Was a lot of fun to put together, but very challenging. Very challenging. I had a couple of pieces that were they were actually more like songs. There's a couple pieces in there. The one with the dolphins, and I'm really proud of that. If I had my way, if I had more time to put into this, if I could have had a dozen of those songs, I would have really had something excellent. Would have really had something excellent. Now, it's a case of diminishing returns. It's a case of beating myself over the back and not doing all this work and not getting anybody coming into the comments section to say, hey, you did a great job. You know, I go to everyone else's channel and it's 35 comments. I drop an album and so it is what it is. I can't continue to beat myself up and produce something at the level of what I'm producing, or I listen to it and I think this is really good, and it sounds phenomenal. Like there's nothing bad you could say about it. It's not that, oh well, the music isn't that good, or the music's okay but the mix is bad, because most of the other home recording stuff that I listen to is just that. It's home recording and it doesn't sound good. So to have to put what I'm up against in order to do something like this, with the depression, doing it in an apartment, zero budget, and doing it in the midst of being unbelievably depressed, it's just a case of diminishing returns. Like I said, I wish I could have emotionally and physically had what it takes to make 12 songs like that, the one that's on there. And there's another piece of music on there that's a complete fucking joke. Usually I'll have one thing on there. There usually is one thing that's goofy, wacky, silly, stupid, or it's trying to prove some kind of point. I always have something on there because as a kid, discovering music, that's the type of stuff that I just absolutely loved. And it's rare that an artist will have the guts to do that. Now, when we're talking about what I'm doing, I'm uploading it to YouTube. I'm not an artist. I'm just a goof. And there's a differentiation there. So I gotta say that. Well, but people like Nilsson, Harry Nilsson, did that. Somebody like Mike Patton, Adrian Belew. Now, this particular piece is a trap piece. And I got sound effects of guys going, yeah. And I put that together to be about a rapper who's obsessed by money and he gets injured, and they stitch him up and put him back, and he goes right back to the same life and dies in a plane crash. So that's that's the story in the trap piece that's at the end of the album, and it doesn't really fit on there. There's another piece on there. It was a drum solo that I chopped up and combined it with a MIDI file that I did not play. Excuse me, I was eating peanuts. Now, this piece, it was a black MIDI, and I ran it through it was a software synthesizer, and I put it out into individual tracks. There was like 100 tracks for this piece, and I went through each track and picked a different sound randomly. But I auditioned the sounds to find what I wanted, and then I rendered the piece, and then I had to go through and kind of edit it a little bit, and then I built the drum track around it. So it turned out to be like this throwaway thing that was a lot more work. Like that was a couple of days. But I didn't play that. Everything else on the album is I played, with the keyboard. And I think that's just about it. If you have any questions about Tender Moments, feel free to leave them in the thing. I didn't get a single comment on the album. I don't think too many people listened to it, which isn't a big deal. To be honest with you, I made this YouTube channel as a place for me to upload the fruit of my life. And having people come along to join for the ride is fantastic. It just does kind of get to me when I watch other YouTube channels and see other people who just kind of buy some lights and put them up and go, hey guys, I need you to smash the like button. And there's thousands of people self-immolating. And to be honest with you, I should be happy, but I'm not wired that way. I'm wired where I kind of need somebody to tell me, you did a good job, kid. But ultimately, I'm setting myself up for failure when I think that way. It's good enough when the thing is done, when I hit the button on render and it finishes, it's done. That's it. I can go back and listen to it, and that's more than enough reward for this guy. So thank you for joining me. If you do have any questions about P2 Fingers Tender Moments, fire away. I will definitely answer those. If you haven't checked it out yet, I think it's a fun piece. I think that the video editing on this one, there's enough in there to keep you playing along at home, and the balance between the musical, the songy aspects of it, and the noise aspect of it is really its strong point. Unless you're a noise freak and you want to listen to 45 minutes of white noise, you'll be disappointed. There is elements of it on there, but it's songy, wouldn't you say?
Some parts of it, yeah.
Yeah. Parts of it. Parts of it aren't.
I know.
It's songy
That's
for the most part. Where it gets into the noise aspect, where it's just noise, is minimal, is what I'm saying.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, that's why I said parts of it.
Parts of it are songy. That sounds like
totally
most of it is noise and
songy.
parts of it are songy.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's kind of the other way around. It's Strong songs made out of noise.
Yeah, that's a good way to.
Like I said, I had this idea. It kind of came to me. I don't remember how. But it totally made sense. And I had opened up a rhyming dictionary, and that's why the song titles are what they are. And I I had them. I had all the titles finished, and I thought, I'm sticking with these. I'm not going to change anything. Maybe these titles will fit for certain pieces of music. And that's the wild card. That's the random element of it that it deserved. But I did use a rhyming dictionary to come up with the song titles. And the idea of coming out with something like last year, I had these commercials for Hokum, and it was Hokum is heavy metal,
Heavy Metal Madness.
yeah, metal. Are you ready? And then it was all acoustic. This year, PT Two Fingers, Tender Moments, and it's abrasive noise music. I promise you, I'm not doing that anymore. I did it twice, and this very well may be it. Next year, you look for a comedy album from Petey. Have you ever heard Hijinks? Have you ever... I'm your new bass player. Have you ever heard of Neil Hamburger, his comedy albums? Download all of them. Anyway, you guys, if you haven't, I suppose I should have put a warning up. Anyway, yeah, I'll put a typed warning. You should listen to the album before you watch this. But thanks. Stay warm, hug your pets, and peace.